The long-awaited hot cell review is finally here, so thank you all for joining me. As I mentioned in one of my podcasts, friend and fellow staffer Kevin Andes has agreed to help me out with this one. I very much appreciate that. His layout for the hot cell isn't too far off what I typically use at 55 by 5 by 50. He does, however, use a few more 5s than I do. Having Kevin do the heavy lifting gave me an opportunity to sit back and observe the ball reaction while also getting his thoughts on what he was seeing and what he was feeling, and in the end we came to a fairly similar consensus. It's a lot of core for a urethane cover. The hot cell does look really good going down the lane. It rolls strong or revs well without hooking or burning up a whole lot of energy early. As you would expect with the urethane cover, it has a very smooth transition onto friction and was strong at the pocket in terms of hit. However, like I mentioned before, it's a lot of core for that weak of a cover. The ball struggled to finish on the back end occasionally despite the significant amount of flare, and he saw a bit of over-under due to how strongly the ball rolls and revs. Yes, obviously the reason you get a urethane ball is specifically because of the smooth finish on the back end, but the strength of the core does force you to play a little bit of angle just to get it down the lane. So both getting it down the lane and getting a good motion into the pocket was occasionally a bit of a challenge. As you can see though, it's hard to deny how good the ball motion looks when everything matches up and works out. The hot cell, I think, is going to be an excellent choice for flatter patterns with significant oil volumes. I still think that the pitch black is the better choice for shorter and drier patterns, and speaking of the pitch black, here's how it compares. We're asked in our review videos to compare the new release to another release in the same brand. However, virtually the only question I ever got asked about this was, how does it compare to the pitch black? I mean, the pitch black actually looks to have a bit more shape on the back end, but due to it having a much weaker core, that's not too surprising. The hot cell moves the reaction much closer to the line because of how strong the core is, and despite more flare usually meaning more back end, the enormous amount of flare Kevin was getting put the core in a very smooth and stable position at the break point. So when you factor in the urethane cover, what Kevin gets out of the hot cell is a very smooth and early reaction, which we do have to say seems to significantly increase the hit. As far as the rating for the hot cell goes, it gets a -2 for value. It's a urethane ball at a premium price point, and despite the quality of urethane it is, that's a lot to pay for a ball that has a fairly limited scope of use. For design intent, however, it gets a +2, the only thing being that the core just seems a little too strong at times. For hook, it gets a -3. Again, just going back to it being a urethane ball at a premium price point, it easily hooks a couple arrows less than even the least aggressive reactive ball in the price point, and hooks even less than my 2000 Grit Hustle Ink. For versatility, it gets a 0 though. This seems like a ball that'll work for anyone who likes urethane regardless of their speed or rev rate. So despite the composite rating of -1, if you like urethane and have used it successfully before, I can virtually guarantee that you'll like the hot cell. But for those of us like me, at the end of the day, it's still urethane. I mean, the hot cell is not for everyone, but it will be extremely good for the bowlers and conditions it was intended for. It was built for a specific purpose, and I think that they achieved their goal. The hot cell is available now. Own it. #SquadRG.